Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a thing I've liked for all my life, but I've never considered myself to be a huge fan of. I love the first live-action movie, I casually grew up watching both the 2003 and 2012 series, and I've even watched a chunk of the infamous Next Mutation series, but I've never considered myself a huge fan. That was until Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came along. Today, we're going to take a look at the entire series and see why it made me a bona fide fan. First, some background. In 2009, Nickelodeon bought the rights to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, which led to the production of the CGI 2012 series and the Michael Bay produced live-action movies. Both of these products started off successful, but started to lose audience interest as they went along, either due to executive meddling making the show hard to find, or audience disinterest leading to less money. However, TMNT is a long-standing brand that can appeal to a wide audience, so a new show to take place after the 2012 show was greenlit and took a much different approach to the Ninja Turtles franchise than the 2012 show, which aimed to be a more definitive take on the 80s Turtles. This show, however, created new mystical-themed lore and villains along with renewed focus on fun hijinks with the Turtles. If 2012 was a reintroduction to the Ninja Turtles brand under Nickelodeon's reign, taking the many concepts from past iterations and remixing them for a new generation, then this new show, dubbed Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, would form a new path for the Turtles and get a bit experimental, and this experimentation would show most of its characters. Let's start with the character designs of this cartoon. Now, Ninja Turtles series have always had fun character designs to sell action figures, and this one is no different. Each of the turtles have unique heights and shades of green from one another, thanks to each turtle being a different species this time. You can see this most clearly with Raphael, who is visually much bigger than the rest, and is my personal favorite design for the character. Of course, with change comes complaints, and one of the biggest complaints besides the aforementioned character designs of this Ninja Turtle series is that all the turtles act like the comedy archetype Michelangelo falls under with not much distinction, which I would heavily disagree with. The show has a comedic tone, yes, but each turtle has their own comedic style and personality to bounce off each other with. You got Ralph's Jimbo attitude, Mikey's wide-eyed naivete, Donnie's cynical dry sarcasm, or most infamously of all, Leo's laid-back yet overly confident quippiness. This change is a major departure from the stoic leader of past TMNT adaptations for Leo, but I think they make it work here thanks to Ben Schwartz's incredibly charismatic performance as the character. He's still a brave hero, and later a brave leader, he's just a different flavor of it. Leo's also my favorite character in the show, partially because I love the jokey, cocky hero archetype, and he's a great example of it, often having the most entertaining moments in the series. Speaking of entertaining, I love the way the show is unabashedly late 2010s with its contemporary concepts and fast-paced humor, yet doesn't come across as pandering to the lowest common denominator, because the humor comes from the characters interacting with their friends, enemies, or situations, not from any forced gimmicks. It has the relatable energy of a bunch of friends vibing in a chaotic but fun Discord call, making each other laugh about whatever's on their mind. Helps that these scenarios are very appealing to look at. Even the limited animation blows my mind of how funny the facial expressions are drawn, or how over the top the characters are posed. It's just so cool. As for the main villains of Rise of the TMNT, Baron Draxum is the first season's big bad, being a new villain to the TMNT universe. He's a prideful yokai warrior alchemist who believes that the humans could destroy all yokai, so in his superstition, he created the ooze, which would make mutants to fight off the humans, but the Council of Heads disagreed with his methods, so he had to develop his mutant-related plants elsewhere, which led to him creating the Turtles and mutating Splinter. After numerous failed attempts to recruit the Turtles, Draxum joined the Foot Clan to help rebuild Shredder's armor, but he was double-crossed as the armor drained Draxum of his energy, leading to the revival of the true main villain of the show, the classic TMNT baddie, Shredder. I really like the idea of Shredder being the final boss whose revival is built up throughout the show, so when he first shows up and fights the Turtles in the season 1 finale, it feels like a big deal. This Shredder is super menacing, and I really want an action figure of him, but can't find one for an affordable price, dang. He may lack the more human complexities of the 2012 Shredder, but he excels at being a threatening challenge to the Turtles, especially in the season 2 finale. On the topic of that finale, while I do love the whole show, that final stretch of season 2 was on a whole nother level of quality thanks to the unrelenting peril of Shredder forcing our heroes to grow and change. When characters struggle in these episodes, you really feel it, which makes their triumphs all the more hype. Unfortunately, this jump of quality doesn't have the best circumstances behind it from a production sense, as Nickelodeon executives pulled the plug on the show thanks to sudden low ratings and wanting to cut costs due to the 2020 pandemic, so the crew had 6 weeks to make the final episodes to wrap up as many of the loose ends as they can. While they did have to speed up things like Karai's introduction and the Turtles gaining their classic weapons, these were still paced very well in the episodes they were in, despite the behind-the-scenes troubles. Still though, 6 weeks to make 3 to 4 episodes of television when it usually takes 9 months? I'm sure if a lot of the material was written down already, but yikes. If that doesn't show you how mistreated animation production is within these big companies, despite the crew of these projects working their butts off on huge franchises, I don't know what will. But even if the run was unfairly cut short thanks to Nickelodeon making the show air at the worst possible times and refusing it to put on streaming platforms until after the show ended, it was still a very adrenaline-packed and creative stimulating run of television. While like many others, I wish the show could have gotten more seasons to reach higher highs, I am very happy with the episodes we do have. There's just too much to love about this show, and I didn't even get to talk about everything I wanted to, like Splinter's character arc. Either way, I think I'm okay with letting Rise of the TMNT be where it is, and letting a new generation of Ninja Turtles take over. Especially with that Netflix finale movie, which I do want to talk about at a later date. Rise of the TMNT was that series that made me go from liking Ninja Turtles to loving it, and I'm forever thankful for it.